WBC President Mauricio Sulaiman has made it official. Dmitry Bivol must defend his title against the dangerous David Benavidez. With an April 8th deadline to strike a deal or face a purse bid, the stage is set for a high-stakes showdown that could shake up the light heavyweight division. Benavidez's promoter, Samson Lukovic, admitted that the WBC's decision caught him off guard. He revealed that just Thursday night he sent a massive offer to Bivol's lawyer, hoping to lock in the fight. However, he claims Bivol's camp has yet to respond, leaving the negotiations in limbo. Despite the uncertainty, Lukovic remains optimistic about the deal moving forward. Perhaps someone knows better than me, but I'd be very happy if that is the case, Lukovic told Boxing Scene on Sunday night. Maybe tomorrow I will have a response. With millions potentially on the table, every move in this negotiation is crucial. Benavidez's camp seems eager to finalize the deal, but the lack of response from Bivol's side adds uncertainty to the process. The champion could be evaluating his options or strategizing his next move before making a decision. Meanwhile, the boxing world watches closely as the business side of the sport unfolds. The pressure is mounting, and the outcome of these negotiations will determine whether this blockbuster fight becomes a reality. However, just as negotiations seem to be moving forward, a major shift occurred that could further complicate the situation. Turki Alalshikh, a key figure in boxing's recent mega fights, who was previously enthusiastic about Benavidez facing Bivol, has now pulled out of the process entirely. His unexpected withdrawal has further complicated an already fragile negotiation process. Alalshikh stated, "I am no longer interested in Bivol Benavidez and will not bid on it." He further added, "I think Bivol knows who has delivered for him and who hasn't. My advice to Bivol, don't be late because every day something changes." This decision has raised speculation about tensions behind the scenes. Reports suggest that discussions between Alalshikh and PBC, which represents Benavidez, may have reached an impasse due to conflicting interests. PBC prefers to keep its fighters on its own platform, Amazon Prime, while Alalshikh likely wanted the fight on DAZN. This network standoff appears to be at the heart of the issue, turning what should have been a straightforward negotiation into a power struggle. With Alalshikh stepping aside, the future of Bivol versus Benavidez now rests with PBC and any remaining potential bidders. If a deal isn't reached soon, the fight could be in serious jeopardy, forcing both fighters to explore alternative options. The next few days will be crucial in determining whether this high-stakes showdown moves forward or collapses under the weight of boxing politics. Beyond just this negotiation, Alalshikh's withdrawal has sparked broader criticism regarding his role in boxing. Some believe he initially positioned himself as a disruptor who could break through the sport's long-standing promotional barriers. However, his recent actions have led to growing skepticism, with accusations that he is engaging in the same business tactics he once vowed to challenge. His shifting alliances and business strategies have only added to the uncertainty surrounding his true intentions.
That's sort of one of my issues with Turki Alalshikh is, he wants to make a league and he thinks he's going to make the best league in the world with Dana White and all this stuff. First of all, I think Dana just completely conned him, because Turki basically used Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren to bring in this Trojan horse into boxing, and then he just basically left them out to dry and got with Dana, who has no history in boxing, used Fertitta money to take over a sport that had no competition really at that time aside from Pride, and so it was a lot easier to take over that sport. And now he thinks he's going to do the same thing in boxing.
These remarks highlight increasing concerns about Alalshikh's influence and long-term vision for the sport. While he once appeared committed to uniting boxing's biggest names, his latest moves suggest he may be prioritizing control over collaboration. His sudden alliance with UFC's Dana White, after initially working with promoters like Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren, has only fueled suspicions. Rather than uniting the sport as promised, critics argue he is deepening its divisions. If this trend continues, his impact on boxing may become more controversial than revolutionary. Pauly further continued his criticism, questioning Alalshikh's latest move and his partnership with Dana White. While Alalshikh initially positioned himself as someone who could reshape boxing, his recent decisions have left many wondering if he truly understands the complexities of the sport. Unlike MMA, which White was able to consolidate under the UFC banner, boxing has a deep-rooted foundation with multiple promoters, networks, and sanctioning bodies. Breaking through these structures is not as simple as applying the UFC model to boxing.
And this is a guy who's, has never really had a fighter say many good things about him in Dana White. So I think he's going to have a hard time just in that regard alone, because boxing is, it's fragmented. Yeah, there's a lot to work on. But boxing is also a sport that has a big foundation, and so it's going to be hard to break that under the business model that Dana thinks he's going to break it under. And then Turki, I personally, in small words, I think Turki got on the wrong horse, essentially. He's riding the wrong horse here.
This skepticism raises concerns about whether Alalshikh's vision for boxing is realistic. Many believe that the business model Dana White succeeded with in MMA will not work the same way in a sport as fragmented as boxing. The power struggles between major promoters and broadcasters make it nearly impossible for one entity to take complete control. Critics argue that Alalshikh may have underestimated these challenges, making his alliance with White a questionable choice. Paulie continued his criticism, pointing out a concerning pattern in Alalshikh's approach to making fights. He suggested that Alalshikh's recent ultimatum to Dmitry Bivol mirrors a similar situation involving Tim Tszyu, raising concerns about his decision-making process. While Alalshikh initially seemed open to setting up major fights, his sudden changes in direction have left many observers puzzled. Paulie speculated that there may have been something about David Benavidez that didn't sit well with Alalshikh, perhaps a financial disagreement or a demand that was seen as excessive.
So I think it's an interesting conversation point. The reason I'm bringing it up is because that red flag showed itself again last week. You know, when he's giving Dmitry Bivol, Turki Alalshikh is giving Dmitry Bivol this ultimatum, it's sort of the same kind of thing as he did with Tim Tszyu. There may be something that he didn't like about David Benavidez. It may be something that, you know, he didn't like about, you know, the way David Benavidez may have asked for too much money, or I don't know. I really don't know. I'm just, you know, kind of taking a wild stab at this because, you know, originally everything was on the table, right? Benavidez was going to be the mandatory for the winner of Beterbiev and Bivol, and he is.
This development adds another layer of complexity to the Bivol versus Benavidez negotiations. Originally, Benavidez was set to be the mandatory challenger for the winner of Bivol versus Beterbiev, making the situation even more complicated. Everything appeared to be moving in one direction, but now there has been a clear shift in priorities. Some believe this could be a strategic move in negotiations, while others view it as a sign of deeper conflicts behind the scenes. The ongoing changes in approach from Alalshikh have now become a significant factor in determining whether this fight will move forward as expected. Paulie continued to dissect the situation, highlighting another major shift in the handling of the Bivol versus Benavidez fight. He pointed out that Alalshikh's recent moves have effectively removed the WBC from the equation, despite the fact that Benavidez was the mandatory challenger under its sanctioning. This sudden change has raised questions about the motives behind the decision, especially considering how the WBC previously handled Benavidez's position as Canelo Alvarez's mandatory challenger without enforcing the fight for years.
But in talking to the possibility of the Benavidez and Bivol fight happening, all of a sudden Turki Alalshikh has eliminated WBC, which was where Benavidez was the mandatory. Mind you, the hypocrisy of the WBC is another conversation altogether that they don't exactly get to escape that too. The guy was the mandatory for Canelo for years and nobody enforced it. All of a sudden, now they're going to enforce the Benavidez and Bivol mandatory. Why? Probably because Turki Alalshikh threw them to the scrap heap and decided he wasn't going to use them anymore, and he's going to create his own belt. So now all of a sudden, you're gonna enforce the mandatory that Benavidez has in the light heavyweight division.
This change in approach suggests that Alalshikh is looking to bypass traditional boxing organizations and create his own structure of control. By distancing himself from the WBC, he appears to be shifting the power dynamics of fight negotiations, potentially favoring a new system where he dictates the terms. The timing of the WBC's sudden enforcement of Benavidez's mandatory status in the light heavyweight division further fuels speculation that Alalshikh's exit played a role in their decision. These developments add more uncertainty to the future of the Bivol versus Benavidez fight. The removal of the WBC's involvement changes the negotiation landscape and could lead to complications in securing the bout. With multiple interests at play, the situation continues to evolve, making it clear that the business side of boxing is just as unpredictable as the fights inside the ring. Amidst this shifting landscape, conflicting reports have only added to the uncertainty surrounding the Bivol versus Benavidez negotiations. As the uncertainty surrounding the Bivol versus Benavidez fight continues to grow, conflicting reports have further clouded the situation. While earlier rumors suggested that negotiations were nearing completion, new information now paints a different picture. Both camps have exchanged offers, but the idea that a deal is close appears to be far from reality. This back and forth has only added to the confusion. confusion, leaving fans wondering whether the fight will actually happen. Per Benavidez promoter at Samson Boxing, this is false. Both sides have made offers to the other, but not close to being finalized at all, tweeted Dan Rafael. This statement contradicts earlier reports that claimed the deal was on the verge of being finalized. If anything, it suggests that the fight is still stuck in negotiations with no clear breakthrough. The lack of agreement raises concerns about whether financial terms, broadcasting rights, or other contractual issues are creating roadblocks. With time ticking and the April 8th deadline for a resolution approaching, both sides will need to compromise if this fight is to become a reality. Until then, fans can only wait and hope that the business side of boxing doesn't stand in the way of an explosive showdown. Despite the conflicting reports, a new wave of optimism has surfaced. Some insiders suggest that negotiations have progressed behind the scenes, with both sides working toward a resolution. If true, this could mark a turning point in the fight's status. While skepticism remains high, a recent claim has sparked fresh hope among fans. Attention, attention! PBC and Matchroom are very close to finalizing a deal for Bivol and David Benavidez to face off this summer. This statement has reignited hope that the highly anticipated clash could still materialize. If PBC and Matchroom are indeed closing in on an agreement, it could finally provide the breakthrough that fans have been waiting for. However, given the conflicting reports from insiders and promoters, it remains to be seen whether this latest development is a sign of real progress or just another twist in an already complex negotiation. The next few days will be crucial in determining whether this fight moves forward or falls apart under the weight of boxing politics. This statement has reignited hope that the highly anticipated clash could still materialize. If PBC and Matchroom are indeed closing in on an agreement, it could finally provide the breakthrough that fans have been waiting for. However, given the conflicting reports from insiders and promoters, it remains to be seen whether this latest development is a sign of real progress or just another twist in an already complex negotiation. The next few days will be crucial in determining whether this fight moves forward or falls apart under the weight of boxing politics.
Benavidez and Bivol, obviously it will be a great fight. You know, there's the stylistic clash, which really makes it for an interesting fight. You know, Bivol's this in-and-out fighter. Benavidez is all-out pressure fighter. You know, from what I can see, Bivol's in-and-out flight, you know, he's just on the edge and he makes you pay, and he doesn't just step back just for the sake of stepping back. He makes you pay off that step back.
Malignaggi emphasized the stylistic contrast between the two fighters, highlighting why this bout could be a true spectacle. Bivol's sharp in-and-out movement and ability to control distance would be tested against Benavidez's relentless pressure and high-volume attack. Unlike many fighters who simply step back to reset, Bivol punishes his opponents when they overcommit, making him a difficult target to break down. Paulie continued his analysis of the fight, offering a deeper breakdown of Benavidez's style and how it could play into Bivol's strengths. While Benavidez's relentless pressure is one of his biggest weapons, Malignaggi pointed out a potential flaw in his approach. Fighters who come forward with a predictable rhythm can sometimes be drawn into traps, especially against a skilled counterpuncher like Bivol. If Benavidez doesn't vary his attacks, he could find himself walking into well-timed counters.
Takes it away. Benavidez, from what I've seen, comes forward at the same speed all the time. He's an excellent fighter and he brings a lot of pressure, but coming forward at the same speed all the time, you may get walked into some of those traps. It's an interesting fight, you know, because obviously there's rumors that, hey, they sparred and then Benavidez did well in sparring, and so Bivol never used him again. That's all hearsay, hearsay. You know, he said, she said type of stuff.
Malignaggi also touched on past rumors about Bivol and Benavidez sparring, which have sparked debate among fans. According to unverified claims, Benavidez performed well in a sparring session against Bivol, leading to speculation that Bivol avoided using him as a sparring partner afterwards. However, Malignaggi dismissed these claims as hearsay, emphasizing that gym stories often get exaggerated and don't always reflect what would happen in a real fight. Paulie continued to address the sparring rumors, offering a balanced perspective on how training sessions can sometimes be misleading. He acknowledged that fighters can have good and bad days in sparring, making it difficult to draw any real conclusions from those sessions. Sometimes, performances in the gym don't translate to actual fight night, as sparring is often used to work on different strategies rather than to prove dominance. Malignaggi also pointed out that stories from the gym can be exaggerated, with different versions of events emerging over time.
I don't really put a lot of stock into it. You know, some guys have good days on certain sparring days, some guys have bad days on certain sparring days, and also sometimes people just make up stuff on certain sparring days, as you guys very well know. So I don't know, man. You know, it's probably one of those things where both guys are going to feel like they got the better of it in sparring. But regardless, you know, you can settle this in the ring, and I think it'll be a great fight. I think it's a great stylistic clash.
While the sparring debates may add fuel to the anticipation, Malignaggi emphasized that the only way to truly settle the debate is in the ring. Both fighters will likely believe they had the upper hand in their past encounters, but what really matters is how they perform under the bright lights when everything is on the line. The excitement surrounding a potential showdown between Bivol and Benavidez continues to grow, with many in the boxing world eager to see this fight come to life. The matchup presents a thrilling contrast in styles, making it one of the most anticipated clashes in the sport. While the negotiations have been complicated, the hope remains that both sides can finalize the deal without further roadblocks. However, concerns linger about whether unforeseen circumstances could derail the fight at the last moment. With all the twists and turns in the negotiations so far, some are wary of potential last-minute disruptions.
And this is a clear sign of that, and I'm excited for this. I'm really happy for David to get this opportunity with Bivol. I think it's going to be a really good fight when that time comes. I just hope there's no pump fix with this where it's getting close and all of a sudden something happens out of nowhere and Turkey does some craziness with Bivol, because Bivol was kind of like, he's just going to let it happen how it happens. You know, he backed himself out of it. I don't blame him because he's on a payroll for people. So he has to do what's best for him. But I really hope he sticks with this, and I really hope he pushes for this fight with Benavidez.
Jason expressed his excitement for the fight, particularly for Benavidez finally getting a shot at a top opponent like Bivol. He acknowledged that Bivol seemed content to let things unfold naturally, but cautioned against any unexpected moves that could interfere with the fight. Given the history of setbacks in big boxing negotiations, there's always a possibility that something unexpected could occur. Despite these concerns, there is optimism that the fight will go through as planned. If both fighters remain committed to making it happen, fans could witness one of the most electrifying bouts of the year. The key now is ensuring that no external factors, whether financial disputes, promotional conflicts, or unforeseen decisions, stand in the way of delivering this highly anticipated matchup. Oscar shared his thoughts on the potential Bivol versus Benavidez fight, emphasizing just how significant this matchup could be. He acknowledged that if Bivol takes on this challenge, it would be a defining moment in his career, with Bivol already proving himself as one of the best at light heavyweight. Stepping in against a dangerous opponent like Benavidez would further cement his legacy. This fight wouldn't just be about titles, it would be about solidifying a fighter's place in boxing history.
Wow. I think Benavidez is very interesting. I think that's a hell of a fight. Wow. I mean, if he's willing to do that, if he's willing to be great and fight Benavidez, my gosh, that would solidify, you know, Bivol's, you know, Hall of Fame career for sure. But look, yeah, he proves to the world that he's the best at 175. So yeah, I think that's a hell of a fight. That would be a hell of a route to take.
Oscar highlighted that if Bivol is truly willing to take on Benavidez, it would be a fight that could shape his Hall of Fame career. He noted that facing Benavidez, a relentless and aggressive fighter, would be a true test of greatness. A victory in such a matchup would remove any doubt about Bivol's dominance and establish him as one of the sport's all-time greats. Oscar continued his analysis of the potential matchup, offering his take on who he believes has the edge. He acknowledged that this would be a tough fight to predict, as both fighters bring unique strengths to the ring. While Bivol is known for his technical skill and disciplined approach, Benavidez's relentless activity and offensive output make him a dangerous opponent for anyone. The contrast in styles makes this fight even more intriguing, as it would come down to who can impose their game plan more effectively.
Wow, that's a tough one. That's a tough one because, I mean, I would go with Benavidez. Because he's more active, he throws more punches, he has better footwork, obviously, than Beterbiev. You know, he's smarter up there. He knows how to think, knows how to adjust. Yeah, I would favor Benavidez.
Oscar ultimately leaned toward Benavidez, citing his higher punch volume, footwork, and ability to make adjustments in the ring. He emphasized that Benavidez's intelligence and adaptability would be key factors in such a high-level fight. While Bivol has proven his ability to control fights with his movement and counterpunching, Oscar believes Benavidez's relentless pressure and strategic thinking would give him the advantage. Showbiz the Adult added to the growing excitement surrounding the potential potential showdown, keeping it simple but impactful. With so much discussion about styles, strategy, and legacy, he focused on the core of what makes this fight special. It's pure entertainment value. The mix of Benavidez's relentless pressure and Bivol's technical brilliance has all the ingredients for a must-watch fight. This is the kind of matchup that could deliver high drama, skillful exchanges, and non-stop action.
David Benavidez versus Bivol is almost as exciting for me as Canelo versus David Benavidez. I'm not gonna lie. The reason why I like it is I always liked what Evander Holyfield did when it came to Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson fight Alex Stewart, I'ma fight Alex Stewart. Mike Tyson fight Buster Douglas, I'ma fight Buster Douglas. You can't beat Bivol, I whoop his ass. Not only am I showing that I beat Canelo, but I'm also showing that my legacy is important. I'm greater than Canelo. I just love that attitude.
He expressed confidence that Benavidez versus Bivol would be an incredible spectacle for boxing fans. With both fighters at the peak of their abilities, this bout has the potential to be one of the most thrilling fights in recent years. The contrasting styles ensure that every round would be filled with strategic adjustments, high-energy exchanges, and moments of pure brilliance. The potential fight between Dmitry Bivol and David Benavidez has created massive excitement in the boxing world. From promotional hurdles to contrasting fighting styles, this matchup has everything needed for a blockbuster showdown. While negotiations have faced obstacles, there is still hope that both sides can come to an agreement and make this fight happen. Fans, fighters, and analysts all agree. This is a fight that needs to be seen. If the deal is finalized, Bivol versus Benavidez could be one of the best fights of the year, combining skill, pressure, and strategy in a way that few matchups can. The road to making it official has been filled with twists and turns, but if both fighters step into the ring, it could be a defining moment in their careers. What do you think? Who do you think has the advantage in this fight, Bivol or Benavidez? Do you believe the fight will actually happen, or will boxing politics get in the way? If the fight happens, how do you see it playing out? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel and tune in for more videos like this.